Okay guys, so we are starting a new story this week in Open Court. So you can take out your purple Open Court book, or I printed out the story for you. It looks like this. And so it's just easier to read sometimes when it's printed out. You can take a highlighter, and as we're going through the story today, you can highlight different things in the story or just circle it. I've got my little reading glasses on here, you guys, so that we can read the story together. And the sheet that we're going to be doing today, so get this sheet out and get it in front of you, is fact and opinion sheet. And this one's a little bit harder for you guys to do because I think you're still trying to figure out the difference between fact and opinion. So let's talk about that real quick. First of all, a fact is something that can be proven to be true. It just is that way. You can't dispute it. It is a fact. And opinion is what someone thinks. So it's usually in the form of an adjective, like someone is sleepy. Well, that's your opinion. Maybe I don't think they are very sleepy, but maybe you do. Or you can say something is expensive or something is cheap. What's expensive to you is not expensive to me. So we're going to read the story today, and as we're going through the story, we're going to stop, and if we see a fact, we're going to write it under fact, and if we see opinion, we're going to put it under opinion. Okay? So here we go. Get your story in front of you, and we're going to go through this story together. I'm going to read a little quickly because, again, if I don't, the video will be too long. So sorry if I'm reading a little too fast, okay? This story is by Harv Zimak. Long ago, there lived a merchant who had 3 sons. The first was Fyodor, the second Vasily, and the third Ivan. Ivan the Fool. This merchant was rich. He sent his ships over the oceans in all directions to trade goods in foreign lands. Once, he loaded 2 ships with precious furs, wax, and honey, and he sent them sailing with his 2 elder sons. But when Ivan asked for the same, the merchant refused, saying, "You would do nothing but sing songs to the moon and try to make the fishes dance, and come home without your head," because he said Ivan was a fool. Okay, right away, I see a fact and an opinion. So a fact is something we can prove to be true. So something that we know is true is that he had 3 sons. So under fact, we can all write the merchant. Now I'm going to use a marker because I want you to be able to see it, but you guys don't use a marker. The merchant had 3 sons. And you just write the fact there, and then you put a line underneath it. The merchant had 3 sons. The first one was Fyodor, the second was Vasily, and the third was Ivan, and they called Ivan the Fool. Okay, that is a fact that you can prove to be true. You can look at his sons and see that he had 3 of them. You can't deny that, okay? It's not an opinion. But now we're going to put an opinion. Here's an opinion. The merchant was rich. Rich is an adjective, okay? And what you think is rich might not be what I think is rich. Can't really prove the word rich, really, okay? The merchant, because everybody has a different definition of rich. The merchant was rich is an opinion. So if you want to stop this video right here so you can write that, the merchant had 3 sons was a fact, and the opinion is the merchant was rich. So we're going to keep going because we still have plenty more room for facts and plenty more room for opinions. One thing also you don't want to forget is to write the title on the paper, and you want to capitalize that. And also, please put your name, because we get papers without names and we don't know who they are. So make sure you put the title and your name. Okay, let's keep reading. So he wouldn't let Ivan go, only the 2 older sons. All right. However, when he saw how much his son wanted to go, he gave him a ship with the very cheapest cargo of beams and boards. Ivan prepared for the journey, set sail, and soon he caught up with his brothers. They sailed together for a day or 2 until a strong wind came and blew up Ivan's ship away into uncharted seas. Uncharted is one of your vocabulary words. It means unknown. The wind blew Ivan and his crew to the north and to the south, and at last they reached an island. Ivan stepped out upon the shore and found a path which led to the top of a mountain, and there he discovered that this mountain was not made of rock, nor of sand, nor of stone, but of salt, pure Russian salt. Now, interesting, there's the word nor in this today, and that's one of the things we're studying is conjunctions, so pretty interesting. Okay, I see a fact and I see an opinion again, okay? So here's an opinion. is that the cargo was cheap. Okay, so under opinion, we're going to put the cargo was cheap. It says he gave him the cheapest cargo. Now, cheap, again, just like rich, it's a matter of opinion. What I think might be cheap, you might not think is cheap. So first we had the merchant was rich, and now we have kind of the opposite of that. The cargo was cheap. Again, basically he gave him the worst ship because he didn't think that he was good at anything. Okay, now we need to put a fact over here, something that you can prove to be true. And what you can prove to be true is that the wind blew Ivan's ship. The wind blew Ivan's ship. That is true, and you cannot deny it. Okay, so now we have 2 facts and 2 opinions. Fact number 1 was the merchant had 3 sons. Fact number 2 is the wind blew Ivan's ship. Over here, 2 opinions. But again, we still have plenty of room and plenty of story because I don't know what's going to happen because he landed on a mountain made of salt. Interesting. I've never read this story before, so I don't know what's going to happen. Without delay, he ordered his sailors to throw away all the boards and beams and to load the ship with salt. As soon as this was done, Ivan set forth once more. After a long time, or a short time, either nearby or far away, the ship arrived at a large city. Ivan went into the city to bow before the king and request his permission to trade his merchandise. He took a bundle of the salt with him. The king greeted him in a friendly manner and heard his request. "And what kind of goods do you sell?" asked the king. "Russian salt, your majesty," said Ivan, showing him the contents of the bundle. The king had never heard of salt. The people of his kingdom ate food without salt. Can you guys imagine? When he saw what Ivan showed him, he thought it was only white sand. "Well, little brother," he said to Ivan, "we have all we need of this. No one will pay you money for it." Ivan turned away, feeling very disappointed. Then he thought to himself, "Why don't I go to the king's kitchen and see how the cooks prepare the food?" Ding! Now we're on the back of that page, okay? And what kind of salt they use. He went and watched the cooks running back and forth, boiling and roasting and pouring and mixing, but no one put a single grain of salt in the food. Ivan waited his chance, and then secretly he poured the right amount of salt into all the stews and all the sauces. When the first dish was served to the king, he ate of it and found it more tasty than he ever had before. The second dish was served, and he liked that dish even better. Then the king called for his cooks and said to them, "In all the years that I've been king, you've never cooked me such a delicious meal. How did you do it?" That's how I picture kings talking. I don't really know if they do. The king answered, "Your Majesty, we cooked the same as ever, but the merchant who asked your permission to trade was watching us. Perhaps he added something to our food." "Send for him," commanded the king. Then Ivan, the merchant's son, was brought before the king, and he fell on his knees and he confessed his guilt. "Forgive me, your Majesty," he begged. "I put Russian salt in all the stews and sauces. That's the way we do it in my country." Okay, we're not going to read the end yet because I want at least you to see what's going to happen. Okay, I saw a fact and I saw an opinion, and I'm sure you did too. So an opinion is what someone thinks. And what did the king think of the food? He thought the food was tasty. So we're going to write here, the king said the food was tasty. That is an opinion. So now we have 3 opinions. It is actually nice to use different colors so you can keep one side fact and one side opinions, but you don't have to. The king said the food was tasty. That's what he thought. Maybe everybody didn't think the food was tasty, but that's his opinion. You can't prove tasty, okay? But here's something you can prove. It was a fact because everybody saw it. The merchant put salt, well, not everybody saw it, but some people saw it. Ivan put salt in their food. Now, if we were doing this in the classroom, we would be writing a lot smaller, and you could even put even more facts and even more opinions. But you can see here, all of these things are proven, and all of these things over here are just what someone thinks, an opinion. Now, aren't you guys curious as to what's going to happen? Did Ivan get in trouble or not? "And what is the price of this salt?" asked the king. Ivan realized his advantage and said, "Not very much. For 2 measures of salt, give me 1 measure of silver and 1 measure of gold." The king agreed to this price and brought the entire cargo of salt. Ivan filled his ship with silver and gold and made ready to sail for home. Now, the king had a daughter, a beautiful princess. Attended by her maidservants, she went down the port to see the Russian ship. Ivan the Fool was just sitting there strumming a tune. The melody reached the ears of the princess, and its sweetness entered her heart. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's a love story. It was not long before Ivan and the beautiful princess stood together before the king to receive his blessing. To the sound of trumpets and the cheers of the king's subjects, Ivan and the princess departed from the city and sailed forth on a favorable wind. For a short time, Ivan and the princess sailed the sea. Then his elder brothers appeared across his path. They learned of his good luck, and they were very jealous. They boarded his ship, seized him, and threw him into the sea, and then they divided the booty, which is the gold and silver. Fyodor, the eldest brother, took the princess, and Vasily, the second brother, took the ship full of silver and gold. Okay, so again, we have another fact and opinion, and I'm not going to read any more of this story to you guys because I want you guys to read the very end, okay? There are like 6 pages left, and I'm going to read it on my own, and you're going to read it on your own. But I did see an opinion in there, and it was that the wind was favorable. The word favorable is an opinion. What I think might be a favorable wind, you might not like that kind of wind. So that's just my opinion. So we're going to put the wind was favorable. You can't really prove the word favorable. That is the opinion. So now, by the time you're done with this, you should have 4 opinions. You actually should have probably more than that when you get done reading the entire story. Over here, I think you guys are going to love this story too. We're going to make another fact, something that you can prove. And something that you can prove that did happen in the story was that Ivan's brother took the princess. Ivan's brother took the princess away. I cannot imagine a brother being that mean, but he was very jealous too. Okay, so again, we have Ivan's brother took the princess, and over here, the wind was favorable. So if you just watch this video with me, you should be able to do this whole page by yourself without your parents' help. But again, we're talking about facts and opinion. A fact is something that can be proven, and an opinion is just what someone thinks. The story we're talking about, the story for this week, you guys only have 1 story every week, is the story Salt. And it's a story about Ivan and his 2 brothers, and I cannot wait to find out what happens. If you go all the way to the end, you see a castle, so it makes me think something good must have happened in the end, but you will have to read the rest and find out. Guys, keep reading.